Hello everyone and welcome to the Literacy Center Social Studies tutorial. This is Meghna and today we are going to talk about American Revolution. Let's talk about the American Revolution now. In the last tutorial, we know how the colonial America worked, how the colonies were established. The American Revolution was a time when the British colonists in America rebelled against the rule of Great Britain. There were many battles fought, and the colonies gained their freedom and became the independent country of the United States. The American Revolutionary War lasted from 1775 until 1783. Before the American Revolution, there were several British colonies, as we know, and as we learn about these colonies in our last tutorial. There were several British colonies in the Americas, and not all of them participated in the Revolution. There were 13 colonies, as we know already, which ended up rebelling. These were Delaware, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, New Hampshire, New York, and Rhode Island. What caused this revolution? Much more than a revolt against British taxes and trade regulations, the American Revolution was the first modern revolution in history. It marked the first time in history that a people fought for their independence in the name of certain universal principles such as rule of law, constitutional rights, and popular sovereignty. It started when British leaders began to tighten imperial reins. Once harmonious relations between Britain and the colonies became increasingly conflict-driven. Britain's land policy prohibiting settlement in the West irritated these colonists, as did the arrival of British troops. The most serious problem was the need for money to support the empire. After this, tensions increased further after Parliament passed the Coercive Acts that the First Continental Congress took the first steps towards independence from Britain. And before the colonies gained independence, they had to fight a long and bitter war. This Revolutionary War didn't happen right away. First, there were protests and arguments. Then some small skirmishes between the colonists and the local British army. Things just got worse and worse over the course of years until the colonies and Great Britain were at war. The British had many advantages in the war, including a large, well-trained army and navy and many loyalists who supported the British Empire. But many white colonists were alienated by Lord Dunmore's promise of freedom to slaves who joined the Royal Army and were inspired by Thomas Paine's common sense. Excellent leadership by George Washington, the aid of such European nations as France, and tactical errors by British commanders contributed to the American victory. British strategy called for crushing the rebellions in the north. Several times the British nearly defeated the Continental Army, but victories at Trenton and Princeton, New Jersey, in late 1776 and early 1777 restored patriot hopes, and victory at Saratoga, New York, which halted a British advance from Canada, led France to intervene on behalf of the rebels. In 1778, fighting shifted to the south. Britain succeeded in capturing Georgia and Charleston, South Carolina, and defeating an American army at Camden, South Carolina, but bands of patriots harassed loyalists and disrupted supply lines. and Britain failed to achieve control over the southern countryside before advancing northward to Yorktown. In 1781, an American and French force defeated the British at Yorktown in the war's last major battle. After the Revolutionary War was over, we got independence here. Each colony had its own local government. In 1774, they each elected officials to represent them as the First Continental Congress. This was the first effort of the colonies to unite and make a single government. In 1776, the Second Continental Congress declared the independence of the United States from Great Britain. And then the new government was formed. The new government of the United States was different than the government of the colonist homeland Great Britain. They decided that they didn't want to be ruled by a king anymore. They wanted a government that was ruled by the people. The new government would be a democratic government with leaders elected by the people and balances of power to make sure that no one could become a king. Let's explore some fun facts about the American Revolution. The first shot fired in the American Revolution was on April 19, 1775, and this first shot is called the shot heard round the world. John Adams was the defense attorney for the British soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre. He would later become a great leader in the revolution and the second president of the United States. George Washington, the first president, only attended school until he was 14 years old. He became commander of the Virginia militia when he was just 23. The Battle of Bunker Hill was fought on Breed's Hill. Although the war was between the colonies and the Great Britain, other countries got involved as well. The French were a major ally to the colonies, and there were French, German, and Spanish soldiers who fought in the war. So if you have any questions or if you need any help with the subject or this topic, you can text us or you can email us and we will get back to you. Thank you.